president of Upsilon Sigma Chapter, the largest alumni chapter in Chicago, and one of the oldest chapters in the Great Lakes region, having been chartered on September 11th, 1927. It is with great pride and sincere gratitude that we acknowledge all of your accomplishments you have achieved inside and outside of the greatest band in the world, the mighty Earl, Wind, and Fire. As Phi Beta Sigma fraternity stands on the cusp of celebrating 100 years of service in just a few short months, January 9th, 2014, our cause is taken to another level when we can tell the world that men of your stature and your character are a part of our noble band. Please know that your brothers in Sigma are here to assist you in any capacity that you require, and we invite you to visit the historic Sigma House located at 4941 South Martin Luther King Drive when your time allows. The house was purchased by the members of Upsilon Sigma Chapter in 1948 through the efforts of men of vision, and today it is one of the last standing fraternity houses in the Chicagoland area. Much of the history of the entire Great Lakes region is captured on the walls of the Sigma House. We already have an open spot reserved for your photograph when you come and visit us. As a fan, what can I say that's not already been said about Earth, Wind, and Fire? As I said before, Earth, Wind, and Fire is the greatest band, and my personal favorite by far. I was at the 40th anniversary concert here in Chicago back in June of 2011. Unfortunately, a storm came through, and the concert wasn't able to go through, but back in September, I was right back in my seat when you came back. You and your band have influenced countless lives in a positive way, and I personally want to thank you for your image, your energy, your professionalism, your faith, and your music. May God bless you and keep you. Thank you very much. One last thing, it was kind of short notice. I want to present you with this fraternity pin. I would like for you to wear it proudly, and when the young brothers see that Sigma on it, they'll know that you are a man of Sigma and you represent everything this Phi Beta Sigma is about. I understand you a sweetheart. A silhouette. I have to say the silhouette. Was there any members? All right. Any other members of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity in the house, please stand. All right. Did you say this in the house? Okay. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to come back to Chicago. Thank you so much, and to be with you all today. And yeah, we had a 40th anniversary in 2011, and we played outdoors on here, and it rained. It had like the rain you all had yesterday, you know, because we got in late yesterday. Because you never know what to expect with the weather in Chicago, so that's why we're going to Chicago Theater, because it's indoors, and you never know what to expect.
Mr. White, before you go on, I don't want to interrupt you, but you have one more tribute.
I do?
Yes. Mr. Michael Cox, can you please stand, please?
Michael has a presentation for you. He's a wonderful, fabulous artist, and on Born Vain behalf and the team of the Soultra Impact, we want to thank you for coming. And Michael, we want to thank you for this masterpiece. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Miss First Lady, do your thing, baby.
Well, you had already started to talk about the weather. You want to finish that, or you want to go on? You good?
I think we got the weather behind us, right?
Yes, I hope so.
I think we're done with the weather, right? We're here, right?
Well, for those that don't know, of course you are from Chicago. What side of town are you from?
Originally two sides. We started out on the west side in the Horner Projects, right over there. And my late father was a physician over at Rush Presbyterian. It was called St. Luke's over there before Rush bought it. And then my mother was a kindergarten teacher, teacher's aide over at Verdine Elementary School, where we went to school. And then we moved in 1962 to South Shore, right off Jeffrey. You know, take Jeffrey down, 69th, make a left, third house on the right. Oh, you school my sister? Wait, South Shore. Oh, did? Oh, wow. You know, she's senior VP of Gunthy Rinker.
Really?
Yeah, she's talking about my baby sister Karen. And I have a twin sister, Geraldine. I'm Verdine. But Karen actually looks more like me than Jerry does. Yeah.
She does.
And so it was 9 of us, and we grew up in Chicago here. But then when our mother passed away, we brought Karen and my other sister Margie to live with us. They left South Shore and finished their high schooling in California because they didn't have a mother, so we raised them, Maurice and I did, and our family did. Yeah.
So why music? I mean, you had a doctor in the family, you had a teacher in the family. Why music?
It just resonated with us, and my father was a musician in college. He had bands before he went to the Army in World War II, and he was a saxophone player, so he was very appreciative of music. And I think, first we got into it because, kept us off the streets, Chicago, you got sports. These are the 2 areas that, we kind of vibrate to, playing basketball, or, being in a band, or a gang, kind of goes that way too. So, and it kept us busy, kept us off the streets.
So now this event is inspired by Soul Train.
Yes.
And many of us got our fashion sense from watching Soul Train. We knew what dance moves to do from watching Soul Train. But how did Soul Train impact you personally, as well as Earth, Wind and Fire?
Well, Soul Train, of course, started here.
Absolutely.
With Don Cornelius, because he was a disc jockey originally, WVON. And then he had Soul Train. It was upstairs in a building on Michigan Avenue. And then he moved it to California. And it, of course, blew up, got big. And Soul Train really was the first African-American show that we saw ourselves, our culture, how we danced, the Soul Train line, which really, what we do in our homes, electric slide, all those things that is indicative of our culture. And so Don did a great thing, and actually American Bandstand and all those shows copied what Don was doing. So really, Dick Clark and those guys, and really Soul Train really was actually the precursor before BET came, with all the dance, but it influenced us quite a bit.
So what was it that made you say, when Tina was talking to you about this event, that made you say, you know what, this is something that I'm going to take my time that I could be just relaxing and spending some me time and give back? What was that?
Well, I love Chicago, and I came from Chicago. And when they asked me to come and do this, I said, yeah, and because originally I came to the, Paxton Baker, who's the president of Centric, invited me to come out to Vegas. And so I came to Vegas. He said, look, roll with me to the, Charlie Wilson's party. So hung out with him, Charlie, Bill Withers. And they talked about what they were doing. And they said, well, next year what can you do? I said, well, we have an album coming out next year. I'm going to do a concert. Maybe, I'll come by to college and kick it, And I said, of course, I would do that, yeah.
It was just that easy?
That easy. It was that fluid, as we say.
Okay.
It was that fluid, yeah.
Now, everybody knows that Earth, Wind and Fire's music is always inspiring, empowering. I don't think out of any of the songs that I can think of, none of them have any kind of negative overtone. It's all good, uplifting music. What do you think about the state of the music today as far as the industry is concerned and the music that you hear? Because you have a radio, you turn it on. What do you think?
Well, I think we are at a crossroads in music. I have a lot of hope for the future. I think we've gone through a period where music was questionable. What did it mean? The lyric content. The lyric content for us, of course, we have to give credit to our great leader, Maurice White, who really came up with the concept. Maurice was the one that really said this is the kind of music we want to do, because he was a drummer, jazz musician, played with Ramsey Lewis, who's from Chicago. So he wanted to have a group that was really positive, because we were watching groups like Sly and the Family Stone. I know a lot of y'all probably don't remember the older brothers, some of the younger ones don't, but Sly was really one of the first ones, come from California. Then Maurice, then we came out and tried to do something very positive, So I think the state of African American music right now is, I think, is really headed in a good direction. I'm really encouraged by these records, Daft Punk, with Nile Rodgers, good songs. That Blurred Lines, Robin Thicke, Justin Timberlake, Janelle Monáe, they're going back to the well of what was created. And I think if we start that, I think we have the possibilities of seeing a really great era. And then, old school cats like us dropping an album now, kind of as people say, oh, well, they in the game too. So I think it makes people say, well, let me get in the game, because I'm sure our generation, George Clinton and Babyface and all them saying, well, the Fire put out an album, we're going to put out an album. So I think it's going to maybe have a snowball effect.
And what was that moment that made you all decide, you know what, it's time to go back to the lab, give the world some more of the elements?
Well, what happened, this process started at Philip Bailey's home about maybe 3-4 years ago, where we said, let's see what we can do. We didn't need to do a record, but we wanted to do a record because we still felt we had the energy and the vision, and we said, we'll just check to see if there's an audience there. We weren't sure. So the first batch, we made a record, but it didn't sound like Earth, Wind & Fire. It sounded like, us trying to be somebody else, because we were trying to figure out, well, this is what's happening. Maybe we ought to do what's happening. And so Philip went to a trip overseas, and he listened to all of the music that we had done from the period of Heads of the Sky to Faces. And then he said, man, we got to make an Earth, Wind & Fire album. So we, took the risk on ourselves, made a deal with Sony, and we started working. And then we brought in a great producer, Neil Poe, who did all this stuff with Outkast, Hey Ya, and all those good songs, I Love the Way You Move. And Neil came and produced the record with us, along with a couple of cuts by Philip's son, Philip Duran Bailey, and then Ralph Johnson wrote some songs, and then we brought back the great Larry Dunn on keys, and then so Philip and I, of course, were the executive producers of the album. So it was a really good challenge for us, because this was the first record we had done without Maurice. So we had some things on our plate. We had to think it through. So that's how we started kind of coming up with the concept.
And the album is called
Now, Then, and Forever.
I think we have
And it's kind of autobiographical, because we've been around so long, because we're here now, with all the, and we were here then, and we figured out we'd probably be here forever, even when we're not doing it.
We're always going to be doing it.
Yeah, we'll be doing it.
You're going to always be doing it. Do we have a question in the audience? Somebody? Somewhere? Yes?
Question?
No.
Right here. Stand up.
My name is Stacia,
Hi.
and I stay on the South Side. Obviously, I'm pretty young. I was introduced to your music by my mother.
Or you were conceived on the music.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And I wanted
what I
to know. I wanted to know who decides your album covers. They are so phenomenal. They are very symbolic in nature, and I wanted to know, what's the collaborative effort to come together with these awesome covers?
Well, the first covers were actually designed by Maurice with a great guy named Sushei out of Japan. And then the first covers we did was Mai Tai, who did the same covers for Miles Davis and Santana. And then this new cover was done by a young kid named Tashawn in collaboration with our manager Damian Smith. And it's new, but it's us, And we picked the colors, and we did sepia tones, and all those that remember those covers. So it's kind of like a 21st century type of cover.
Yeah, I can definitely feel it. I mean, the energy just off of the visuals alone on the cover, it's a big statement.
Yeah, well, actually, it's the cover. I think it's in Times Square on the big Trinitron.
Yeah,
and it's when you walk down Times Square in New York. If you guys roll through New York, it's down Times Square right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then you mentioned last night for the LP lovers that they're
Yes.
only limited.
Right. There's 5,000 albums that we made up for all the old school people, all us, still got who like vinyl, still got turntables. We didn't make no 8-tracks for y'all, because we figured But seriously, we made albums for not only old school, but for young people who didn't get a chance to experience albums. Of course, the younger generation experienced downloading music videos, and whereas with us, we experienced albums where we looked at the credits, we looked at who wrote it, we looked at who produced it, we looked at what it looked, we just looked at it. We took posters out, put them on the walls, and so we wanted to kind of take you all back to a little bit.
So, before we go to one more question, out of all the artists that you've worked with, are there any artists that you would like to work with again, maybe on a collaborative effort at some point?
Well, you never know. This album, we didn't collaborate with anybody. Originally, we were going to do collaborations. But we found out that our audience wanted us by ourselves. You know, we did a home shopping network show the other night, 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, and they wanted us to have guest stars. And the audience said, no, we want them by themselves. You know? And then we did America's Top Got Talent the other night, and originally they wanted guest stars, but then the audience tweeted, said, no, we want them by themselves. So we'll have to pick and choose the collaborations, you know, and I've got to check out to see which ones you all want us to collaborate with, you know, so we'll see.
Earth, Wind, and Fire with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right. Yeah.
Featuring Earth, Wind, and Fire.
We'll have to see.
I'm just going to...
Oh, I love a lot of the great artists. I'm a big fan of all the great artists, Philip, myself, and Ralph. We love all the great artists, and we always give our hats off, and we're listening to a lot of people, you know.
I'm just going to be the peanut gallery back here and just insert a question or a comment as we go along.
You can do
Is that
that.
okay?
Wait,
So,
but let's get to the
front row.
gentleman. Gentleman in the front row, please stand. Yeah, Steve Early, music producer.
Super producer, Steve Earl.
Grammy nominated.
You mentioned Nile Rodgers. He's actually a friend of mine. We're actually working on another record. My question was, with Nile, with Punk, what he did was he used his musicality that he usually had with his Chic band.
That's right.
And fused it with what's happening now.
Right.
Are you guys looking to do that type of thing with Earth, Wind, and Fire? Because you guys probably have the best music. Like, I think people in here can attest that your music, the music today doesn't even compare to the chord progressions and all the rhythms that you guys had. What do you guys think about collaborating in the dance world, not just here in the United States, but
that's funny
internationally as well?
That's funny you should mention that because you hip to this cat DJ Cassidy, right? DJ Cassidy, he's the DJ for Jay-Z. He just put out he's putting out an album, and we're on that record with DJ Cassidy, and Nile's on the guitar. We're on the same page. And DJ Cassidy is a great, Google him. On the tour that Jay-Z did with Justin Timberlake, DJ Cassidy opens up the show, and he opens up in September. So he came to us in New York when we were finishing our album, and he wanted us to be on his album. And he played some songs for us, and he said, I think I can get Nile Rodgers. I said, man, if you're getting Nile Rodgers, I'm in. You know, because I want to play. I've always wanted to play with him, you know. And and I hear the record is a big record. I hear it's really great. I haven't heard it, but I heard the record is great. You know, I hear it's really good. You know.
Are you possibly considering touring again?
I'm out. I'm waking up tonight.
I mean, no.
Tomorrow night, the next night.
I mean, on a world tour.
I'm doing it now.
You are? Yeah. A world tour? Are you levitating?
I ain't levitating, not tonight.
See,
I
I'm
got
talking
too many bills
about
to
the
pay.
tour
I'm
where
not
you
falling
levitate.
No, you gotta go. You got on our website.
No, you're not gonna levitate?
No, not tonight. I am. In a minute, I will. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, we're out. No, we're tonight at the Chicago Theater.
And
Tomorrow night, we went to Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. Friday and Saturday, this past, we did 60,000 people with the LA Philharmonic. We were in Japan this year. We were in Europe. You got to look on our site. You better look on our stuff. Yeah, I told you. Where you get them questions from? Who asked them? Who wrote that question? You wrote that question? Who wrote that question? And I start on time, and I don't have an opening act either.
well, that's because we just want you by
Are you
yourself.
kidding? I'm touring. Are you kidding? Yeah.
Is there another question in the audience before we go? Okay, got it.
Who asked that question? Who wrote that question? That from the audience?
Yes.
Y'all must don't go nowhere. You wrote that question? She put her hand up. Oh, you wrote that question. Oh, okay, I'm joking. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Kimberly, and I'm a huge fan. I've been to see you guys several times. Can't go this weekend because I have to work. But my question is about your process. Do you all start with your music first, or is it lyrics? Do you all come together kind of organically and just jam out? and everything kind of develops?
It all comes different. You're a producer, so you know the process. It could come from a drum beat. It could come from a keyboard, or it can come just from one line. I think the main thing that you have to do is to stay open. You have to stay open. In the studio, Neil Poe, Philip, myself, Larry Dunn, Ralph. We sat around, and just kind of kicked it, because making a record is very collaborative. Some people make records by themselves, like Prince, things like that. And then with us, because we have such a history, our producer Neil Poe, we would just talk about some of the things that we want to do, and then if I needed to go back in the studio and finish bass lines, I'd go back in, and I'd listen back to the tracks, see what we liked, and let it be a building process. Because records really write themselves. Once you figure out the kind of record, it sort of tells you what needs to be done. Then you step back, leave it alone, let it kind of marinate, because it has to have a life of its own. That's why it takes a long time to do records, because artists they're letting them marinate, so the record will tell them what it is. And then what happens, then you really know what a record's like when you're sitting there playing it for somebody that you don't even know. And then they'll tell you, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta remix this, I gotta do that. Generally, I don't play records for people that I know, because they'll tell you, I love it. I love it. And they're not telling you the truth because they want to be your friend, Get tickets to the concert, So tell them you love it. And that's because they don't want to hurt your feelings, they know you really well. But a record tells you, it tells you itself what it does. And then hopefully you come up with something that people like.
We do have a question over this way.
Hello. How you doing? My name is Ishmael White. I manage one of the bands that we're playing tonight in the Hotep and Soul Collective. Our band has patterned a lot of what we do after Earth, Wind, and Fire, even down to the artwork. And my question would be, what advice would you give a band in this day and time, in 2013, a band that's trying to play real music and try to do it in the tradition that you guys do?
Well, first of all, they got to figure out how they're going to stay together. That's what you got to do with a band. And if I don't know how many people you have in a band, How many you got?
It's 9.
Oh, it's 9. Okay, all right. Okay, so y'all got to figure out if y'all going to stay together, if you're going to... 6 years, okay, that's a good start. First of all, you have to see if you're on the same page. You all want to stick it out, working on the music, having a concept, dealing with the good days, the bad days, particularly when you're first starting out. Because, you're going to be going against the grain. And listening to your manager, following good strategy for a career, because that has a lot to do with it too. So I think those are the ingredients, And you got to have faith, and you got to, say your prayers. That the music gods say, hey, maybe you guys can be the next EWF, hope, because we wanted to be like somebody, and keep growing, man, keep working on those songs too, you don't care where you get them from, and hopefully you guys love each other, enough to, because that's part of it too, you got to be joined at the hip, because that's what being in a band is about. It's actually you become a family, and if you're married or whatever, you end up knowing your band members as much as you do your family, and you're away from home a lot, and you're working hard, and then once you become successful, then you're going to see if you